What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the neighborhood, and it's another beautiful day in this. Well, I should say a quarantine day in this neighborhood. And over here, I have Mr. Alex Kellerman. And how's it going, man? How are you?
It's going all right, man. Every day's the same.
Yeah, it is actually. It is the same. So how? I mean, for those who don't know, you're an artist, you're a writer, you're an actor as well, and you direct stuff. What has, how has this whole quarantine been for you since it started? Like the first 2 weeks to now?
Jeez. Well, I mean, I work for two feature film producers, and work in film for us has been very busy. We weren't on any productions, so we weren't filming anything. So we didn't have any productions shut down or anything like that. But as far as projects that we are putting together, those are still pretty much full steam ahead. That hasn't changed at all. Personally, I've been writing. I got, hired to do a rewrite on a script, and I've got a couple of things that I was working on before that, slowly, you'd think you'd be more productive being at home all the time, but that is not really the case.
Yeah, I totally relate to you on that. Actually, I pulled out a book today and I put it on my bed. I'm like, you know what? Maybe if it's on my bed and I see it, I'll finally get to reading that. But yeah, the first couple
I do
weeks.
that with my toilet.
Say that again.
I put books on my toilet, and I'm like, next time I'm using the bathroom, I'll start reading it. And it just gets gross in my bathroom.
That's pretty awesome. I don't know if I'll do that, but I'll definitely take that into account. Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Have you started reading it? Did it help?
I actually I opened it up today. I'm like, okay, let me get a good sense of like what I'm gonna read. It's a book on philosophy. It's called Mastery by Robert Greene, and it talks about like all the
Love
different.
that.
Yeah, talks a lot about the different like different artists and masters of their craft and how they started from where they were at to mastery, and it's pretty interesting stuff. I'm also reading The Flash Rebirth as well. That's
Rebirth.
yeah, yeah.
Good story.
Are you reading any comics right now, or
No.
no?
The last comic book I read was I bought the trade for The Ice Cream Man. Have you heard of that?
No, no. What's that about?
It's like a comic book version of the Twilight Zone, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's like each issue has three different stories, and those, like, each issue is a different story that is a different flavor of ice cream. So like the crazier flavors are crazier stories, and the more mundane flavors are the more mundane stories.
Are there more than 31 flavors?
Not yet. There's
Not
only
yet.
4 volumes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was like a Baskin Robbins type of thing.
No, there's no tie-in. I don't think that they're sponsored by a real ice cream chain. It's not Breyers Presents or anything like that.
Oh, okay, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. Who makes that? Is that
I
like
think it's Vertigo. I
which one?
don't know for sure. I think
Oh,
it's Vertigo.
oh,
But
okay,
I'm not
cool. Okay, or Image or one of those.
Image. It's one of those slightly smaller. For all I know, it's DC proper. I really should know, but I don't.
That's cool, man. I like your Superman cup.
Superman Tumblr. It says it tickles. He's being shot. Classic Superman.
Yeah, that's pretty classic. That's cool, man. Yeah, so I mean, are you still working out, or are you still?
Every day, I'm gonna be in the best shape of my life by the time we get out of quarantine.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I just started doing yoga about like 3 weeks ago, and it's been like super helpful. Like if it wasn't for that, I'd probably be losing my mind right now. So
I have had a lot of different like at-home workout routines and videos and apparatuses and things like that. And one thing that I used to love, I love Billy Blanks. Have you ever used any of his products?
I think isn't that the Tybo guy?
That's the Tybo guy. He
Yeah.
has other stuff that he does, but he is the Tybo guy.
Nice.
But he is like, I think, a great real life motivational speaker, kind of. I mean, I've only ever heard him speak in his videos, but he says a lot of things like, you know, healthy body, healthy mind, and those sorts of like things that really stick with me. So it's like the days that I don't work out, I actually feel less motivated in general throughout the day. Like I'm more awake, I'm more alert, I've got more energy on the days that I, you know, in my mind also creatively on the days that I work out. So I start every day with a workout.
No, that's great. Yeah. I usually like do it at night, but I'm totally with you about healthy mind, healthy body because, I mean, when the whole quarantine started, the first 2 weeks were super rough. I was not doing jack shit for 2 weeks. I was just like in a blob of like, what the fuck am I doing? What's going on?
It's so easy. You can't go anywhere. It's so easy to just sit around and do nothing.
Yeah. And then finally I was like, you know what? I just snapped out of it and I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to just start doing yoga, and I'm about 3 weeks into it and I look forward to it. I mean, it really makes a difference in terms how the overall day goes in terms of.
Absolutely. Yoga specifically also has a lot to do with like clearing your mind and focusing on breathing and things that are just a good way to like readjust your mindset.
That's awesome. Who is your favorite superhero, by the way? I know that you're big into like superheroes. Do you have like a favorite one, or?
You know, growing up, comic books were not very popular. And I was a big fan of Deadpool, and later Ant-Man and Giant Man, Ant-Man/Giant Man.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be honest with you, them being really popular movie franchises has really taken away from my love for them.
You know, that's funny that you say that because I agree with you to a degree on that, but I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah.
No, it's fine. I mean, I hate to be that kind of like counterculturalist, but Spider-Man is probably my all-time favorite superhero. But that's like overall around, you know? It's like I like all the side characters. I like his rogues gallery of villains. It's like all around Spider-Man gives me the most of what I want.
Yeah, totally, man. I love Spider-Man. Actually, is my favorite Marvel character. I love the Raimi movies. These Spider-Man movies. Yeah, they are what they are, you know. And then the Marvel ones are okay, you know. I mean, you know, they're all right.
Something a little different, but that's okay. I mean, that's how comic books are, right? You get a different artist, a different writer, and things change a little bit.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, what you said about how like everything's kind of changed because now everything's like mainstream now. Yeah, I mean, growing up, it was like more obscure to be like a comic book geek. You know, it was almost like one of those things where it's almost kind of like embarrassing especially if there's like a girl that you like.
Oh yeah.
And she
I used to hide my comic books when people would come over, for sure, no question.
Yeah, same here.
I wasn't even embarrassed. I would tell all my friends, "Oh, let me hide my comic books real quick. Someone new's coming over." Now I take dates to the comic shop. The world has changed. I mean, now it's like those characters that I used to hide in the fucking closet are. Sorry, am I allowed to use bad language on this?
I don't give a fuck. Go for it.
Okay. The characters that I used to like hide in the closet are now in every store that there is, from Hot Topic to Target to, I mean, clothing stores, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
So like, it's not embarrassing to like Spider-Man or Star Wars or any of that.
Yeah, I kind of miss that a little bit, to be honest. I kind of miss.
Well, yeah, of course. It was like an exclusive club.
Yeah, you know, and then you'd find your one or two friends, you know, or you know, somebody would. I remember like one time, like in high school, there was this guy, and he would just bursted out a Green Lantern comic book, and I was like, oh, what do you think about that? And then next thing you know, it would just go back and forth and just talking about comics and we would like talk, and the next thing you know, like a hot girl would walk by and we would be like, oh yeah, so you know,
Football.
football. Oh yeah, yeah. So it's definitely changed, and for the most part, but
Yeah. It's super mainstream now, but I mean, there is still a little bit of a divide. You know, I've definitely had conversations with larger groups of people that start out about the movies, and then we delve into like more like comic book lore and those sorts of things, and we start losing people. And you know, people be like, wow, you guys know a lot about this. You know?
yeah, yeah,
So there's still a little bit of a divide, but it's just less, I don't know, those things are cool now, which is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It is pretty crazy.
Everyone knows who Ant-Man is. Everyone knows who Deadpool is. That's insane. And when I think back to like reading those things in middle school and high school.
Yeah, it's like people are
Like, even then, you know, people knew X-Men, Spider-Man. They had their cartoons and all that. That was very popular. But no one had heard of Deadpool or, you know, Ant-Man was a wife beater for an extended period of time in the comic books. But, you know, I guess it's come full circle. It's great. I'm glad those things, you know, especially the MCU has really done a good job of like, as a kid, me fantasizing about the live action versions of those things. I really feel Marvel has put those fantasies on screen better than most other comic book.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you on that, man. I mean, as you know, I'm a DC guy. I fucking love DC, but
Of course.
Marvel has definitely
DC just has never really been able to capture the magic of their comic books, in my opinion.
yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. You know, that's why I mean, for me right now, like I'm just reflecting on, you know, like on Marvel, and I just, you know, if you're somebody at DC and you got to be a visionary, you know, if you really want to, you know, push forward. I mean, we'll see what happens. You know, I keep the faith. You know, I keep.
Good luck, bro. Good luck. I hope they figure it out. I would love to see another good Batman movie, you know. I'd love to see a good Flash movie.
Yeah.
But they have not figured it out yet.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see, you know, another 5 years or so. But as far as because I know that you're a writer, what made you decide that, you know what, I'm gonna do some writing?
What do you mean, during the quarantine?
Well, I mean, just in general, like just being a
How did
writer.
I start writing in general?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I grew up doing musical theater in North Carolina. I was big into theater when I was younger, acting.
Okay.
And I always thought that I would grow up to pursue acting. And then it was my senior year of high school, and I was in an advanced acting class, and we put on a show that was made up of 30 short one acts, and the audience would pick 15 random numbers, and each number was assigned to one of those one acts. So there were 30 in total. Each show would be 15 random ones based on what the audience yelled out. But the way we put the show together was everybody in the class of like 30 people wrote short one acts, and then we all performed them in front of the class, and the class decided which 30 we would use for the show. And of the 30 that made it to the show, 23 were mine. So,
wow.
so my acting coach at the time was like, I know you want to act, but maybe you should write more.
Wow.
So first year of college, I learned how to write a screenplay and completely fell in love with it as a different expression of creativity, you know, whereas acting, you kind of become a role or take on a story, as opposed to writing where you invent the character and invent the story. So it was just a very I don't know. I fell in love with it the first time I did it. And I had the opportunity after my first year of college to move out to Los Angeles, which I did. So I just left school, came out here, and within 6 months, I had landed a job writing at Paramount, which was its own education as far as, because creative writing is such a small part of writing for film. There's a lot of notes and incorporating other people's ideas into your own and creating a product that satisfies large audiences and not just your own, selfish creativity. So through doing that, I actually fell in love with the rewrite process, which is not something a lot of writers do. Mm-hmm. And so when I realized I had a knack for that and enjoyed it, I was like all in. So that's when I started 100% pursuing writing.
Dude, that's awesome. Because I looked at your bio briefly, and it was like writer first, actor, and then director in that order.
Right.
So I mean,
when I came out here, I didn't really pursue acting. I mean, I did background acting. So like any movie or TV show that came out in like 2007, I'm probably in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'm not a competitive person.
Right.
And the acting world is so cutthroat and so competitive, and costly and expensive. It's expensive to be an actor, to constantly update your headshots and, constantly be taking classes and things like that. And as a starving artist, that just was not in the cards for me. I don't come from money. I've never made much. So writing was a craft I could hone by myself.
Right. That's pretty awesome.
So as far as IMDb goes, the first things I ever had produced were things that I had written, but also, my first short films I would act in basically just to keep the cost low. I would have 3 people that's like, hey, let's make something. Mm-hmm. So I'd write it and I'd produce it, and one of us would direct it, and all 3 of us would have to act in it because there's no other way to do it, because we're all working for free. And then as I started doing that, my other friends who are directors, like Aaron Shonke at Bat in the Sun, he, as much as he loves me as a writer, loves my comedic acting. So he always casts me anytime he has something comedic that needs to be done. And I've got a couple of friends that do that. And then I met Alex Lewis, and we started, doing a lot more. And we have sort of a like a banter that we try to capture in our shorts and things. So the acting, while not something that I pursue, I actually get a lot more acting work than writing work, although that's sort of changing now, luckily.
Yeah.
Since I'm really pursuing the writing more. But, you got to do what you can. I mean, I never thought that I would direct and produce as many short films as I have. But you gotta make it. You gotta figure out how to do it yourself. Nobody respects you when you're just like, oh, no one's giving me a chance.
Yeah, that is so true on that for sure. Yeah, if you're not getting opportunities, you got to make your opportunities, and that's one of the reasons why actually I really do respect you, because you're always creating, you're always putting stuff together. Yeah, you're always like, got stuff on Instagram. If you guys don't follow him on Instagram, you guys should follow him at Kellerman Writes a Lot. Your stories are hilarious. I love it when you take questions, man. Like you always.
I get that feedback a lot, and I get a lot of fan engagement, if you will. I don't want to call people fans, but I get a lot of engagement. I mean, I've got friends that have tens of thousands of followers that don't get as many responses as I do on my questions. So. I got to be doing something right. Hopefully the fan base grows.
Oh, totally. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's very funny. I always appreciate it. I'm like, wow, dude, this guy responded to my comment. That's pretty cool.
I get that a lot. People love it. People love being included.
Yeah. As far as screenwriting goes, I know that you wrote Continue 987. Can you talk a little bit about that in terms of the process of that, or how that came together? Because I know, to me, that's very fascinating, because as far as I know, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I know it's been in the making for about 5 years, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Boots Riley's process. I know you've seen Sorry to Bother You, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that took him a long time to get that. So to me, I find this like super fascinating. Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, geez, where do I even start on that? I mean, Lucas and I met through a filmmaking podcast. You know, um, we both listen to this small podcast called Making Movies is Hard, which I've co-hosted a couple times now. And they had like a get together in LA, and Lucas and I were the only, I met like 10 people at that thing, but Lucas and I were the only ones that like connected. I said something about loving Evil Dead, and he immediately responded to Evil Dead, and no one else had even seen it. So I was like, I like this guy. So Lucas and I had been talking for a while about, we had wanted to, collaborate on something. And he had been talking to a actor / producer who wanted to basically tell his little, dramedy story about his dating life. And he was going to produce the whole thing. So he asked Lucas to write a script based on his stories. So Lucas kind of put together this, I guess when I read it, it was probably a vomit draft. It was basically just all this guy's stories kind of put in script form.
Right.
And it was a little bit of a mess. And I read it, and I had a conversation with him just about bringing how he could bring forward some of the more character-driven elements, puts the story to the back because it's really more about the main character. And Lucas had already had this great idea, because honestly, if it had just been like a straightforward indie dramedy, I probably would have just given him some feedback and not done anything else. But Lucas wanted to make the main character a video game designer and use video games to sort of be a part of the story. And I thought that made this idea unique. Yeah. So I offered to basically just do a rewrite, and I was like, I'll just do what I think needs to be done. And then if you like it, then let's continue collaborating. And if you don't, then that's fine. You can go make whatever you want to make. Luckily, he really liked what I wrote. I'm also particularly, it's one of the things that I've focused on is dialogue. Yeah. So a major thing that I did was rewrite a lot of the dialogue. And in that, bring the themes more into the story. And next thing I knew, we were filming. I mean, it was really just that quick. He must have been prepping while I was writing. Because they started filming. I act in a very small role. And then the only reason it's taken so long is to actually finish editing is because Lucas is doing it all himself.
I know.
There's a ton of visual effects.
Yeah.
And he's just one man. And like a lot of us, he's got a regular job, so he's only able to do it in his off hours. Yeah. And that shit takes a long time. Yeah. It can take a really long time, as is the case with this movie. And as with most features, you kind of discover things in the editing process. Yeah. Little story elements that like, oh, if I just had this shot, it would make so many things make more sense. Or if I just had this one line of dialogue. So he's been going through and collecting these little extra things that he needs, reshooting small things. He had to, I don't remember why he needed to. Maybe it was just to strengthen one of the themes, but he basically he rewrote in editing the beginning and the end, like the bookends of the story. And so now we've had to go back and refilm those. Yeah. And the main star, left LA for 2 years, and like all the things that, go into like making a movie. Yeah. But mostly it's just like he's a one-man team, I helped write the script. This other guy put up the money to make the film, but Lucas did everything else himself.
Yeah, that's awesome, because
He's
And
amazing.
I actually have seen some of the footage. Lucas showed me a little bit of it, and
Really?
yeah, and it looks incredible.
Oh, wow, great. I'm
Like,
so glad you said
yeah,
that.
the cinematography, bro, looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks good. I didn't know that anybody else had seen it.
Yeah, he showed me a little bit when we went to go see Superman. I think it was last year. He pulled out his phone. He's like, "Hey, check this out." I was like, "Wow." It's. I think what he showed me, it was a scene at a bar, and there's Yusuf, and um, just from looking at it and knowing that he's doing everything himself, and I mean, obviously you've seen Lucas's stuff with his art. It's so vivid and rich, and that's the best way that I would describe the footage that I saw. It was just beautiful. I was like, holy! I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I got connected with Lucas because I saw him on an interview with Shriekfest, and he did an interview with Denise Gossett, and then something about that interview really made me go, you know what, I'm going to check his stuff out. And then that's how I saw The Amazing Mr. Moji.
Which is
And
a great book.
yeah, it's great. It's really good. And
Something else that's like very visual effects heavy that he did all himself.
he's just such a talented guy. And so, I mean, I'm seriously looking forward to when it comes out. And Lucas, last time I spoke with him, he said that he's been up at 4 a.m., I mean, especially he's taking advantage of the quarantine, just getting it done.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that. Yeah, man. So
Yeah, I'm excited to see it finalized,
yeah.
Have
So
it come out.
once this quarantine is all undone, what have you thought about? Like, is there anything that you've said to yourself like, oh my god, I can't wait to fucking do this once all this is over? Or is it just kind of like,
No. All I keep thinking is how much more productive I could have been during this time. But it's hard to, for me at least, it's really hard to conjure the creativity without changing the scenery every once in a while. Even just going to work every day outside of my apartment was enough of a change of scenery to generally keep the creative juices flowing. But now it's like I'm just here all the time. Like the monotony of my surroundings has really impacted my ability to step outside of my own head,
yeah,
So am I looking forward to doing anything? No. I'm super paranoid about the virus. Not that I think it'll kill me or anything. I just really don't want to get it, to be honest with you.
yeah,
I'd love to not get it.
yeah.
So even when things open up, I'm probably still not going to be going to many group gatherings for a while.
Oh wow.
And who knows if there even will be group gatherings, I worry about movie theaters and concerts and how those things have been impacted and like what the actual future fallout will be for those sorts of businesses.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure.
I mean, movies will be fine. Movies will still keep getting made, but
Oh, totally. Last question, because I think we're running a little bit low on time. But what is the last, or what was the last movie you saw in theaters? And before all this happened, what was your most anticipated movie that you were looking forward to this year?
the last movie I saw in theaters was Invisible Man, which
Okay.
was
Yeah.
fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah.
And what was I looking forward to? I don't know. What was coming out? I guess Tenet is probably my most looked forward to film.
Yeah. That looks pretty good. I'm
They're
excited.
talking about releasing it digitally, but for a $50 rental.
I don't know about that. I'd probably get together with like a few of my friends and probably make that happen somehow, but seems like a bit of a stretch, but hey, what are you going to do?
I mean, what if you can't ever go to a theater again, man? Invisible Man could be the last movie I saw in a theater ever.
Yeah.
Seriously, AMC's going under. They're the number one. They're the biggest chain.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the smaller guys? I mean, even if even if movie theaters stick around, I fear that the experience will be altered in a way, whether it's like seats
Yeah.
being separated more, or like, you know, I have no idea how things are going to change. I just know things can't really go back to being the way they were,
Yeah.
because one of the things that the virus did was like showcase all of our shortcomings as responsible, like health conscious society.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has revealed a lot of stuff for sure, in terms of where we're at as a society. As far as like where people can check out your work, because it's like with writing and that type of stuff. What are some projects that you've recently done that people can check out, and where can people follow you?
Boy, you know, I haven't had anything come out in a year. I've been writing for other people and working on a lot of things that have not yet been made, or have been made and have not yet come out. So I don't have anything super recent. We did just put out a new Kellerman Hates Fruit.
Yeah.
On the YouTube channel, the number 8, a thumbtack.
Yeah.
Which has a lot of content that I've made with Alex Lewis and Lou Berger. And but otherwise, youtube.com/Kellerman comedy with a K. I've got a playlist that has like all of my stuff across YouTube and a bunch of different channels. And you can follow me on Instagram at Kellerman Writes a Lot, which has, my Instagram show, Common Sense Kellerman, and I post clips of all kinds of stuff, and my stories I try to keep entertaining. So, you know, I'm around.
Awesome.
Madison, find me.
Definitely, man. Mr. Kellerman, I just want to say thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time. Yeah, thank you so much.
Fun, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you. I definitely look forward to. Well, I mean, hopefully we'll go to a bar someday, and you know, pick up some shit. You know, and
we'll see. I don't know. It might be virtual drinks until the end of time.
Probably will be, man. We'll see. We'll see about that, bro. But yeah, man, dude, I really appreciate you, man. And I guess we'll see you on the next one. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and stay safe on the quarantine.
Bye.